Hi everybody, welcome back once again to the Eastfield Gunroom YouTube channel. Before we kick off with today's review, as always, I want to thank you all for liking the video, subscribing to the channel and supporting us throughout. So today we have got the new kid on the block from Beretta, the 688 Performance. Now there are a couple of videos out there about this already. However, I wanted to get hold of one and tell you my thoughts. Now, Beretta turned 500 years old next year, and I understand there's a lot of exciting guns in the pipeline, so this is just the tip of the iceberg. So the first thing you'll notice is the laminate. This is actually the first time in Beretta's history where they've ever put any kind of laminate on a rifle or a shotgun. They may, of course, have used it in the past on sort of the grips for the handguns, but I couldn't confirm or deny that. What I believe has happened here is I think Beretta have noticed that there is a market for people that don't appreciate the traditional look and traditional feel of wood, and they want something a bit more practical, a bit more durable. Of course, if we look at Brown, in the last few years, they have brought out the 525 laminate game in that brown that looked like a really badly burnt banoffee pie, which I thought was dreadful, but each to their own. Of course, the grey 525 SL laminate Sporter, we have reviewed that. That's a good gun. And most recently, of course, they have done the Black XS BL Black Pro thing. So what's happened is, of course, Beretta have looked at that and thought, yeah, there is a market for this. Let's do something a little bit different. But being Beretta, they haven't just slapped on some different woodwork on it. There's a lot more to it. So let's delve a bit deeper. So we'll start with the action. And as soon as I saw this gun and I looked at the slimness of the profile of the frame, I instantly recognized it from the old ultralight, even down to the fact that where they've put the Beretta on kind of the shoulders where the barrels lock into the action. Now, I'm sure you'll remember the Beretta 690 Sporter, which has got the same colour scheme, the black action with the bright orange. And again, this is something that's not for everybody. It just depends on what you like in terms of a gun. Do you want something that's in your face? Do you want bright colours? Do you want something a bit more subtle? And that's why ultimately it's horses for courses, and there's something for everybody. So like I said, this is a slimmer version of the original 680 series action. What they did with the ultralight is they took metal out of it to make it lighter because it was an alloy action. It was designed for upland hunting and for game shooting. So what they've had to do with this new design of the 688 is they've had to make sure that, of course, with a steel action, the weight is proportioned properly to increase the balance of the gun. So they've actually put the weight lower down in the action. Coupled with that, we've got these cool little lines with a kind of a brushed finish where it says performance down the side, and it just looks a bit sporty. It looks like a clay gun. You know, it's not the kind of thing you would probably take out on a game day. You might take it pigeon shooting because of the practicalities of the laminate, but other than that, this is an out-and-out clay gun. So continuing the theme of the slim down action profile, if you look at a standard sort of 686 silver pigeon, 687, then the hinge disc where the barrels of course hinge on in the action normally protrude, but what they've done here, they've actually got some flush fitting ones, which I think is a really nice touch. So continuing with the decals on the action, we spin it round and we've got the same matte black finish with the 688 bold logo in this day glow orange, road cone orange, whatever you want to call it, EasyJet orange, with the famous Beretta Trident logo. So we've got matte finish on the underside, but there is actually a gloss trigger guard and a gloss trigger. We'll move on to that shortly. Now, in terms of one of the massive design features that Beretta have put into this gun is they've actually changed the way the gun closes. Historically, with the 680 series action, you would have the release pin, which basically catches on the outside of the barrels and locks the gun up when you close it. What they've done is they've moved the position of it from on the side of the action to the top of the action. And what that's essentially done is it's made the gun feel a little bit less clunky, a little bit smoother to shut. Dare I say it, a bit like the old 682s and 687s of yesteryear. Just feels better when you open and close it, and just adds for a better experience for the shooter all round. So the rest of the action, we've got some stippling, which is a bit like the old 682 Gold. In fact, the first thing I thought when I saw this was the ASE Lux, which was a handmade ASE from the early 2000s. So they've gone for this anti-glare again. It's got this, like I said, stipple finish, matte finish top lever, matte finish back strap. And of course, you've got the standard barrel selector and switch from a 690. So it's slightly different in terms of the shape and the style to what you'd normally get on a 680 series action, which let's not forget this is. Onto the trigger. So in contrast to the matte finish on the bottom of the action, we've got this nicely glossed trigger guard, and we've got the adjustable trigger. Now this is the same trigger that you would get currently in a 687 EELL Sporter, which is the only gun in the current 680 range that has an adjustable trigger. Other than that, you'd be going historically back to the old Beretta 682 Goldie, which is a class gun. Do check out the video review. There is one on the channel. And like I said, it's just a different system. It's not like the DT11. So what you've got is you've got the screw that comes out completely, and then you've got the 3 positions where you push it backwards and forwards. Not quite like a 694, because of course it's a 680 block. So just to finish off, the actual top lever design, I believe, is slightly different. Now, when manufacturers change top lever designs these days, it's all about adding a bit of extra length to give you a bit more leverage, or of course the shape and the style of the actual paddle to enable the shooter to open it and close it easier. And if you look here, we've got some little lines like the back of a Pan Am jet. So onto the barrels, so you don't get confused watching the video, they are actually a gloss finish barrel. It might look like they're matte on the video because it's got this blue protective tape on the barrels, and it's a nice little touch from Beretta. They put it on all guns these days, to be fair, just to stop people from clattering the bejesus out of them when they're looking at them in gun shops. We have got ventilated barrels. This one is 32 inch. Now, these guns are available in 28, 30 and 32 inch sporting. I will come on to the full specs a little bit later and tell you what else is available. For now, let's concentrate on these sporting barrels. 32 inch, ventilated top rib, 10x8 standard Beretta gear. Ventilated 2/3 of the way down approximately, and then you've got this little gap. And of course, I would imagine the idea with that is to make the barrel slightly lighter to kind of counteract that extra weight in the laminate wood. 18.6 bore. Now, these are Stelium. Now, you might think that this is kind of a 694 replacement. It's absolutely not a 694 replacement. It fits in the range kind of underneath the 694. So remember, with a 694, you do get Stelium Plus barrels, which are longer forcing cones. With this, it's no different to a Silver Pigeon 3, Silver Pigeon 1, double EWL Sporter. They are only Stelium. Standard 680 tackle down here. Nice bit of engine turning. Of course, this is a 3-inch chambered. It is also high performance steel shot proof, fleur-de-lis. And on the top, obviously, you've got sporting, the barrel length, etc. If we go to the business end, we have got the standard white Beretta bead, and we've got a full set of Optima HP coloured band extended chokes. As with always, although like I said before, this is not really something you're taking game shooting. If you did want to go game shooting, you want to take a little bit of weight out of the barrels, just put some flush fit chokes in, and away you go. So one of the important things, particularly when you're buying a competition gun, in my opinion, is to know what the barrel weight is. Sometimes on Beretta, they've stamped them, sometimes they don't. This gun isn't stamped. Now, I picked these up. These are 32-inch tubes, and I said to videographer Max, these are about 1540. Put it on the scales, 1539. One to me. So them's the barrels. We've looked at the action. We've talked about the weight of the barrels. So what does the gun weigh? So the gun actually weighs 8 pounds 10 ounces. Now, that's probably a little bit heavy for a 32-inch Sporter out the Beretta stable. Typically with something like a DT11, it's probably 2 or 3 ounces lighter. Obviously, that's got to be attributed to the fact that this has got laminate wood on it. It's bits of wood stuck together with glue, and ultimately that adds extra weight. Now, I talked about the balance, talked about the fact that Beretta have moved the weight down the action, down the profile. So in terms of balance, it's pretty good. Probably a little bit of tip in the barrels, but, and we'll come on to this shortly, I do believe the 688 comes with the BFast stock balancing facility. It doesn't come with the weights. Obviously, we'll look at the goodies in the box as we do shortly, but if you did want to put some weight in the back, it is ready to accept them, so you can improve the balance and just get it a bit more back end. So onto the laminated wood. So in contrast to what Browning have done with their 525 SL, which is quite a light kind of dove grey, and with the black XS, it's like almost midnight, like a wolf pack. Beretta have gone sort of in the middle. It's this nice kind of dark grey graphite kind of colour, which we know they like to use on some of their guns. It looks really good. It feels good quality laminate. It's nicely finished. We have got the factory BFast adjustable comb. I measured this where it is now, and you've got about 10 mil of drop between the drop at comb and the drop at heel along the top of the comb. So it was 35/45. We have got a microcore pad on the back end, which is 14 5/8 or 370 millimeters. Obviously, you can put bigger pads on. Like I said, you can put the BFast weights in it. It's ready to accept them, although it doesn't come with them. They are an extra cost. We all know about the BFast system. It's a good bit of kit. The adjustable trigger, of course, if you did need to make the stock even longer, will couple in with the addition of a longer microcore pad or a spacer. And if you're 6'74", you'll be all right. So what I did before I had a look at this gun, I compared it to a 694 because I thought, let's just see what they've done in terms of the stock shape, the stock dimensions. Now, this has got a palm swell, which feels good. It's not offensive. It's not quite the same as a 694. I think the 694 is ever so slightly tighter here. It might just be an optical illusion, but that's just how it feels to me. Maybe it's because the 694 is just a little bit chunky across the board. Who knows? But it does feel good. It looks good. And of course, the main thing with laminate is, of course, it just makes it practical. It rains all the time in England, so having a gun that you can go out, shoot clays with, performs with all these new different features, and you can get in and wipe it down with a sponge, that's a plus for me. So onto the forend, and what Beretta's done, they've taken their kind of standard rounded forend design that you can get on Silver Pigeon 3, for example. I don't suppose there's going to be any different options because, of course, they're not going to go to the trouble of making a load of beaver tails out of laminate or a load of schnabels out of laminate. This is what you get, and that's the end of it. Doesn't feel bad. Obviously, it's laser checkered because it's laminate. I quite like these grooves in the front here. They're quite cool. And ultimately, of course, with the laminate, if you've got rain running down, you need the extra bit of grip. And because it's laser checkered, it is nice and grippy, I would say that much. The actual mechanics of it, it's a 686 action forend. Don't confuse it with a 694. It's not self-adjusting. It hasn't got those other bits and bobs in it. And then we move on to the box. So Beretta spent a fortune on the new 688 Performance, slimmed it down, put a nice laminate new furniture on it, and then put it in a blue box. Why on earth have they done that? We know they've got some black cages knocking about the gaff because they used to put them with the 690 black. So personally for me, I think they've just missed a trick, because if that had gone in a black box, it would have just added to the whole presentation point of view, just my opinion. Before we look in the wrong coloured box, I just want to run through the specification, what this gun is available in. So sporting 28, 30 and 32 inch adjustable stock, and available in left hand. They are also doing a trap version in 30 inch, which I believe is fixed choke. That's going to be adjustable comb, also available in left hand. And to complement the lot, they're also doing, which I think is quite a bold move, they're doing a Vittoria. Now, for those that don't know, the Vittoria is kind of aimed at the female shooting market. Now, what you've got to remember with these guns, because of the laminate, they are quite heavy. So let's just see how that pans out. Right, into the box. So sliding locks on the longer barrel guns. With the shorter barrel guns, you get the standard catchy things that break your fingers when they're cold. So we'll open it up. And inside, we have got Beretta stock bolt tool, which is standard, which we like. Nice bit of protective foam. We have got some Beretta carrier bags. And other than that, we have got loads of bits and pieces inside the molded plastic you're not going to use because these cases have been around for decades. Beretta now prefer to put their stuff in a little box, like a little sandwich box. So we'll open it up, and we have got 3 more extended Optima HP chokes. We've got a little bottle of oil. We've got the standard Beretta choke key. We've got the T-bar Allen key for adjusting the comb. Now, one thing which is, I think, is quite a good touch is they seem to, with this model, have given you more of these little B-fast adjustable comb spaces. There's a mouthful. Got quite a few in the gun already, and there's additional ones in the bag. What tends to happen if you need the comb really high, quite often you just run out of space and you have to use pole ends. So that has been the all-new Beretta 688 Performance from me, Matthew Morgan at Eastfield Gunroom. What do I think about it? Ultimately, if you like laminate stocks, you are going to like this because it looks modern, it looks sleek. It's a good package, they've put it together nicely. If it was me, I like the feel of the 694, I like the wood of the 694. I would buy a 694. Don't get me wrong, the 694 is more expensive than this, and this is going to appeal to a lot of people, and it's going to be a big seller, I'm sure. But if it was my money, I'd buy the 694. So that's just my thoughts, as ever, but there's a lot of good bits about this gun, and like I said, if you like laminate stocks, you will go out there straight away and buy one, no question whatsoever. If you've got any questions about this particular gun, please contact me directly. If you want to comment below, feel free. Don't forget to check out the website. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And from me and the 688 Performance, we're going to zoom off. I'll see you later.